Beast Machines episode reviews continue now with Transorganic War Part 3, End of the Line. Season finale. Everyone ready for the big stuff? Because this is where we unleash all of the big stuff. So, we already know Megatron has control of the key to Vector Sigma. We find out in this episode he's going to deploy it on a global scale. Meanwhile, thanks to a vision from the Oracle, Optimus Primal has gained access to an ancient Cybertronian device that could do basically the same. So we are very quickly setting up a scenario where both sides of this war have essentially their own personal doomsday weapon. One that would shut down all purely mechanical things on Cybertron. The other that would metalize all organic things. This is the Season 1 finale. Though I guess if we're taking this in context of Beast Wars constantly ramping up the season finales, this would actually kind of make sense, right? So the last time we had a season finale in Beast Wars, not a series finale, we left off on all of time being unraveled. So I guess this is an appropriate step up. So let's see what happened in this episode. I mean, for starters, Rattrap is going from being the most useless one on the team when the series began to now being by far the most useful. Aside from being the sole reason they can collect data from any given computer and access so much and, things like taking over mole drones and such. He's also starting to come through as an inventor. His lack of weaponry is giving rise to this creativity with what he's constructing for the Maximals. He's combined a little bit of the catalyst, a little bit of the organic fluid, and a little bit of tree seeds to basically create vine bombs to disable drones. Okay, that's actually a pretty clever mix of everything. I mean, I'm still not entirely sure how a computer program like the catalyst can actually make a vine grow faster, but it's all Cybertronian vine, so I'm not going to get too hung up on the science of it. It's just odd is all. So like I said, the Oracle gives Primal a vision, but things are different this time. Number one, he was previously locked out from the Oracle, so he knows that it's acting strange. 2, the Oracle is being far more direct than usual. It's now just flat out telling Primal what to do next, when previously it was just super cryptic dream sequence stuff. And even Cheetor at this point, is starting to point out, maybe you need to calm down with this. Because Primal here, in his desperation to defeat Megatron and make up for what he perceives as his own personal failings in defeating Megatron to begin with, he's taking it really, really personally now, and he's starting to sink to a depth of Megatron in the other direction, where he now has the ability to, since he's gained this ability to wipe out all, purely technological things on Cybertron, there's a part of him that's really willing to use it, and of all people, Cheetor is the one that has to talk him down. Which is a switch. Again, Cheetor's growth as a character being the one consistent throughout Beast Wars and Beast Machines that always makes total sense. So I have been mentioning this device, so we might as well talk about this. So this is the Plasma Energy Chamber, which was the focus of the plot in Rebirth, which is essentially Season 3 of G1. All 3 episodes of it. The Plasma Energy Chamber itself was really just a big power reserve inside Cybertron, but it has the ability to disable, incorrectly distributed, it has the ability to disable Cybertronic life. So that actually makes sense for a Primal to have as this big super weapon. But it's an even deeper cut into G1 than I think even Vector Sigma, because I said Season 3, I mean Season 4 of G1. Since Season 4 of G1 is just such a short little thing, and some people even forget there are more than 3 seasons because of it, the Plasma Energy Chamber isn't nearly as well known as the key to Vector Sigma. So this is, for me, an even deeper cut to go to. Now, it makes sense, and they are using existing lore, which is credit, but it also just starts screaming, why you get to reference these really random, obscure things, but not the series this is supposed to be a sequel from? So things like that start getting on my nerves. What also gets my nerves is when they describe these relics as like legendary Cybertronian relics of ancient history. And like, yes, these are ancient devices, but this is not like things of legend. These were used according to the time scale for Beast Wars 300 years ago. These things were actively employed during the original G1 cartoon. If you want to really stretch it, maybe like 350 years. The point being, Autobots, Decepticons, Transformers in general survive literally millions of years. 350 years to essentially immortal being is nothing. It is absolutely nothing. So to describe it as legendary is like, it feels like weird. It feels like when sci-fi shows start describing things on like when Star Trek describes like ancient human civilization, and it's always something that's happening in like, 1995 or in the 2000s or something like that. So it's like that was 300 years ago. Like 300 years ago for us is like the Old West. Like, it's not exactly the time that has been forgotten. It's not the Dark Ages, Things like that get on my nerves. So this is just my excuse to vent about it. So, a few other things in this one. So, number one, we notice that Black Arachnia is perfectly willing to attack Jetstorm, even though she knows Jetstorm is Silverbolt, and she actively avoided fighting Thrust. Don't worry, that's really just for this episode. Once we get into Season 2, you'll get sick of Black Arachnia's shtick when it comes to Jetstorm pretty quick. I know I did. We also have Rhinox, of course, enacting his master plan. So we find out that Rhinox is the one that was tampering. We knew Rhinox was already tampering with the Oracle, but he also fed this false vision to Primal in order for him to discover the plasma energy chamber. Because ultimately what he wants them to do is use both weapons to wipe each other out. Now, Rhinox does not go into explanation as to how he intends to survive this. He can prepare himself, but we saw no evidence that he was preparing himself. In fact, instead of just sitting back and letting it happen, he started getting hands-on and went directly to Megatron over this. The implication here is that he was if he took over Megatron and used the weapon himself, he wins. But why give the Maximals the plasma energy chamber in that case? Why go that far? Why put that little provision in? Frankly, the plan probably would have gone fine if he didn't get too pushy feeding lines to the maintenance drone, which got destroyed for annoying Megatron too much in this episode. Now, the one benefit to all of this is that Megatron reveals that he knew all along. He knew this was happening. He knew this was going to happen. So he is not easily manipulated, which is, again, one of the very few times where this Megatron feels like Beast Wars Megatron, where he's always 3 steps ahead of everybody else. To this point, he has seemed very direct, very reactionary. Doesn't seem to be a grand plan. There doesn't seem to be a big scheme. Now, of course, in his mind, he's completely one. Why would he need one? But in this instance, this is the first time we've really seen a show where, he actually seems to act like his old self. He's smart, and I wish he demonstrated it more often in this series. So the big thing here is the final confrontation between Primal and Megatron. It's actually kind of rare. We saw a physical throwdown between these two, even in Beast Wars. So nice to see again. Primal is actually trying to resort to reformatting Megatron, which would be, which is a little bit iffy for Primal to force that onto somebody unwilling, especially after we just got done with, Rhinox made his decision to turn against the Maximals, so we'll respect that decision. But Megatron, no decision. We're just going to force him to reformat. So it's something a little bit, inconsistent with Primal's writing in that. I mean, it would have been clever. It would have been fun if they referenced that as being like part of why the events of season 2 happened. That would be even smarter writing, but that's left on the floor, so it's whatever. But the final to this is that Rhinox essentially gets disabled by Megatron, and he sets off the planetary weapon after all the Maximals have been defeated. Everyone, including Primal, have been infected by the key, have been affected by the key. So this is dire straits. So when the global version of the key goes off, Primal also decides to set his bomb off at the exact same time. There's this whirlwind of stuff going on. Primal is starting to, like, literally fall to pieces. He's starting... I'm not feeling... Mr. Stark, I'm not feeling so well kind of moment. And that's where we leave off. That's the cliffhanger of the season. It's Primal's dissolving. All of Cybertron is getting encompassed by two incredibly powerful forces. And they're directly opposed to each other. So no idea where this is going to end up. It's a pretty huge finale. It's a pretty huge thing to pull for a finale. With Beast Machines, of course, there's some writing fallacies going on here. There's some inconsistencies, but overall, like, they've set up a lot here, where it was Tankor's grand scheme to take over, Megatron counter-scheming because he saw through it, Primal going to the farthest extreme he's ever gone in order to defeat Megatron, two super weapons being built up and then going off at the same time. I do wish the chamber got built up as long as the key did. Like, if Primal was aware of it for like a couple episodes before deciding, yes, I'm actually going to interface with this thing, I think that would have been a little bit more effective. But as it is, I'm still going to call the finale enjoyable as a score. It's a decent finale. It does set up a lot of what ifs for what's going to happen in season 2. You know, it's a huge moment to make you go, oh, I need to come back and see episode 14. And that's exactly what we are going to do. Thank you for watching. Tomorrow, we will see how season 2 shakes out. It's a little bit different, which the show needs, but whether it's a good difference, well, you have to watch and find out.
Yeah, I guess I'll give Bardic to Pain. Pain, my number one good best friend. You got this.
You're just basically like Caboose at this point.
Just like...
church. Oh, God.
That's all right, let's keep this pain train going. The Caboose is here.
Son of a bitch.
No.
And yeah,
This
you get
makes me
Bardic.
Tucker. I'm quitting.
Jaws, take 2 psychic damage.